this year's Sunbelt Expo.
At the end of last flu season here.
Hey guys, tonight I was at the first
Thank you so much for joining us for our 8 o'clock digital update here on this Tuesday evening. We're live right now on our website, as well as our app, Amazon Fire, Roku, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. If you're on Facebook, feel free to ask any questions you might have there in the comments section. We'll get to those at the end of the digital newscast. And then also at the end, if we can't get to it then, we'll get back to you on that question a little bit later on. Turning to some of the big stories we're covering today, the Vice President was in Southwest Georgia, and the eyes of the American agriculture industry are also there for one of the biggest ag expos in the United States. Many Georgians, though, farmers specifically, are still recovering from Hurricane Michael. The storm damaged a lot of the crops in Georgia. Dow Kennedy is in Moultrie for the Ag Expo and shows us Vice President Pence's visit.
This year's Sunbelt Expo in Moultrie proved to be as hot as it is historic.
We will rebuild these crops and these communities. We will restore Southwest Georgia. We will restore the Sun Belt region.
Vice President Mike Pence talked about the devastation suffered in this area and in the region's agriculture and pledged the federal agencies, led by Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue, would help every way possible. His visit showed the importance of the Sunbelt Expo as a national summit for agriculture, and others echoed that message.
Farmers are resilient. The agribusiness complex is dedicated. They know their mission. That's to feed and clothe this world.
First day attendance might have been down due to the hurricane, but Expo leaders felt it their duty to hold the show and give farmers something to focus on instead of their losses and a glimpse into the future of agriculture. The Expo draws more than 100,000 people over the course of its 3 days, and it continues into Wednesday. In Moultrie, Dow Kennedy, WTOC News.
That was Georgia's Agriculture Secretary there, Gary Black, you heard from. You also saw the Vice President was flanked there by current Governor Nathan Deal, as well as the former Governor, Sonny Perdue, who is now the head of the Department of Agriculture at the national level. Moving right along here, the 165th Airlift Wing Civil Engineering Airmen here out of Savannah are helping with that hurricane cleanup. They posted these pictures today on Facebook. They've been working a lot in Seminole County, Georgia this week. That's where the first death from Michael in Georgia was reported. Their mission is to clear travel routes and roadways from debris like downed trees. Thank you so much for that hard work. There are a lot of people working very hard around the clock to help clean up some of that damage. You saw it there in the tease for this video, but there is a health warning tonight from healthcare experts that they want you to take seriously. We are now in flu season, believe it or not, and with vaccinations easily available, doctors strongly encourage you to get them. Sean Evans is talking to a pediatric medicine expert with St. Joseph's Candler about the most vulnerable populations and how these vaccines help.
At the end of last flu season here in Georgia, there were 151 flu-related deaths. That number exploded compared to the previous 2 seasons combined. That number at 16 flu-related deaths. One problem is the influenza virus is ever evolving, a moving target for those creating vaccines.
Is the vaccine for influenza perfect? No. It is a very well-educated guess where bright men and women say this is what we think it's going to look like, but the vaccine changes a little bit each year because the virus continually changes.
Dr. John Rowlett, Director of Pediatric Emergency Medicine for St. Joseph's Candler, says already this year he's admitted 21 children under the age of 10 with influenza. Children, along with the elderly, are the most vulnerable populations and encouraged to get that vaccine each year because as people get vaccines year to year, they can have a cumulative effect on your immune system, the doctor explains.
The more times you've had the immunization, the more shots you've had over your life, the less likely you are to become infected in a year when the vaccine's not quite so perfect.
Dr. Rowlett pointed out that vaccines are now widely covered by insurance companies because they'd rather pay for that shot than a trip to the intensive care unit. Reporting in Savannah, Sean Evans, WTOC News.
Thanks for that, Sean. It is also election season. Early voting kicked off this week here in Georgia. The November midterms are 3 weeks away. It's hard to believe already. Amanda LeBreau spent the evening at a forum for the candidates fighting for the 1st District Congress seat. Here's a preview from her.
Hey guys, tonight I was at the first political forum that had U.S. Representative Buddy Carter. He's the incumbent Republican running in November, and his Democratic challenger Lisa Ring. They tackled a lot of hot button issues from Medicaid expansion to prison reform. We're going to break down kind of their key responses to those key issues that they want you to decide on in November.
Thanks for that, Amanda. She'll have more on that forum tonight on The News at 11. Going through some of these comments, it seems like the discussion is about the flu shot. Now, there was a lot of debate today about the effectiveness of it and whether you should get it, but I can tell you a lot of doctors do agree that getting a flu shot is the best idea. It is not a 100% cure or prevention of getting the flu, but it does increase your chances of not getting the flu. So some people fall on different sides of the fence. I'm not certainly telling you what to do. That's a little bit out of my purview, but a lot of doctors do agree that it is beneficial to get that flu shot. Also here, Bella Lawrence saying farmers in some areas are still waiting for money from Irma damage. That is a shame. Obviously, these storms wipe out a lot, and that crop is the income for those farmers. So hopefully they can get the help and the money they need very quickly. The Vice President and the President both have said they plan to do that as quickly as they can for farmers impacted not only in southwest Georgia, but also there in the panhandle of Florida. Believe it or not, a little bit inland, there are a lot of farms there going into southwest Georgia and Florida as well. All right, that about does it for our 8 o'clock digital update. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Andrew Gordon is back tonight at 9 with a weather update, and then we'll also have another news update tonight at 10 o'clock, and I hope you join Dawn Baker tonight on The News at 11. Have a great night.